listening to The Drive.
Now, your Sports 1140 KHTK update. Brought to you by J.R. Putman Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
Hey, this is Kyle Madsen with your top stories on Sports 1140. The Sacramento Kings tonight playing one of the most important games they've played since, well, the last time they were in the playoffs. They host the Los Angeles Clippers at 7 o'clock tonight at the Golden One Center. Our coverage starts with game night at 5:30. Kings Live is at 6:30. Tip-off, like I said, is set for 7 o'clock. We hope to see you all out there. It's 8:02. If you have been injured at work, call the law offices of Doug Moreno at 916-564-4000 for a free consultation. Those are your top stories. Now back to The Drive. Sacramento Kings coach Dave Joerger. It's up next on Sports 1140 KHTK.
Rise and shine, sleepyhead.
I'm not letting you go to work today.
Wait, what?
Everybody, listen up. Welcome to The Drive.
Morning, morning, morning.
You're going to talk. Get on the phone at 339-1140.
Pretty awesome, huh?
Jump in on our text line at 44-1140.
Everyone is talking about it. You must know that.
The Drive starts now.
Yeah, there are many, many reasons, as anyone who listens to the show knows, why I love Coach Dave Joerger in his corner. One thing, whenever we have him on, you know, I texted him. I said, hey, we're going to call you in a few minutes. You always do that with a guest. You try to be nice. He always calls in, and he's always early. He's always early. He's always
ready to rock and roll, man.
Very punctual and beyond. And he joins us right now. Huge game tonight, as Kyle said, versus the Los Angeles Clippers. It is the coach of your Sacramento Kings, Dave Joerger. Coach, how are you?
Super. Good morning.
Good morning to you. You got a big event tomorrow. I want to hit both at the beginning and the end of our talk because you've always put a high price, and we love this about you on the community. You're going to be. Do I have this right? You're going to be pouring some liquid tomorrow at a local establishment.
Yes, a new IPA from Urban Roots, local restaurant and brewery, and big time partner in our community, and give a lot and care a lot about our community. And it's at 3 o'clock tomorrow. It's free. Come on down. The beer is not free, but I'm pouring for tips for the Dave Joerger Foundation and talking some hoops. And there's a can release of a I want to say a Dave Joerger beer, but they named it King Cutter Ale.
Okay.
For different reasons, and they'll have some videos up about why that is, and doing it all for charity. So it'll be a fun event and a good opportunity to talk to people. And hopefully after a huge win tonight, and hopefully I still have some voice left tomorrow.
That's 3 to 5 tomorrow, as Coach said. I'm looking at the can right now. In fact, I'll release it. It's a purple can, King Cutter on it with a cowboy hat on top of a pair of sneakers. And Coach Joerger is going to be out there pouring for tips. It's going to benefit the Dave Joerger Foundation. That's Urban Roots, 1322 V Street. V as in Victor, as in victory, Sacramento, right there.
I'm in there.
Downtown. Heck yeah, man.
I'm in there.
You kidding me? You're a big IPA
I love
fan
an
now.
IPA, yeah.
Coach, before you came on, we were wondering, you know, we watch your post-game stuff, and we kind of follow along with you emotionally as well. And we notice sometimes when you got to always deal with questions after the game, and sometimes it appears that you're great with them. Sometimes it appears that you're just not a huge fan of the question being asked. I'm curious, is there a question you've been asked this year or over your career that's the most annoying to you?
Well, it's always about the lineups, I guess. You know, I feel confident in what we're doing for the purposes of what we're doing it for, which is to be the best that we can be as a team, and at the same time serve the player the best that we can in each individual situation, with the team being first. And so, you know, the team in the short term, but also the team in the long term. And now here we are, we're in a very, very competitive situation and going down the stretch, and we're excited.
I always find it interesting. I'm always fascinated by the psychology in sports that you as a coach, along with your staff, of course, you're juggling so many different things. You're serving so many different masters. You've got this team in the limelight for the first time in over a decade. It's an intense amount of pressure, and you guys handle it very well. How listen, you're a good dude. People know this, but how difficult is it sometimes, especially after a loss, to say, hey, you know what? Let's play a game of I coach the team. I'll go first. Just relax. I know what I'm doing. Don't worry about it.
No. I mean, I think, you know, try and be as positive as possible and be as authentic as possible and real. And, you know, sometimes you feel like people may have an angle or they're trying to poke a little bit, and he just, try not to bristle, try not to be short, and just be as positive as possible, because that's certainly how I am with our team.
I know you've been asked about this about 500,000 times. Hopefully we can come from a different angle. I was out of town but got to watch the Warriors game, heartbreaker, hell of a game, and all the hullabaloo that was made with Buddy towards the end of the game and your guys' conversation. Coach, I'm not going to ask you about that specifically because you covered it a million times, but breaking news, coach and player raise voices and have a disagreement. I mean, I feel like that's something that's so ridiculously common, but it's not ridiculously common for people to see that on television. I imagine that's a repeat of a conversation or a type of conversation you guys have had about 100 billion times. It just happened to be cameras on there.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you can't always coach off camera, and I was a little animated, and, with Steph Curry sitting at the foul line in a close game, probably would have been better to have done that in a different camera view, hopefully at the other end of the court or something. But, we get along great. Our chemistry is terrific on our team, and our, guys care about each other, and you can tell by the way that they play that we all care about each other, and we're trying to do the best we can and help each other continue to grow, and it's just one of those things.
Isn't it crazy to try to balance? And I don't know if I'm sure you guys all probably plan on going 82-0 this year, at least mentally, but I'm not necessarily sure that everyone expected to be in this position. You've been a teaching coach for much of your career, and you've been a teaching coach your entire career with the Kings. How tough is it to balance teaching in the future with, holy God, we're in a playoff race now?
Yeah, to me, it's a great opportunity for our guys. Every year you can say, well, this is how it's going to be. There's these 11 teams that are going to be in the race, and things happen. And you look at a New Orleans team that was in the second round last year, a Minnesota team that was in the playoffs, and both of them have had some things happen through the course of injuries and different things through a team's journey of an NBA season. And so, and then what about those Kings? I mean, people are watching us across the country. People are staying up late. I get texts from people on the East Coast, the Midwest. They're taking naps in the afternoon so they can watch us play and stay up later in their time zone. And it's a really neat deal for our guys to experience this, and I want them to enjoy it. They're all competitive, and in a competitive situation, I think you learn the most. These guys are ultra talented and ultra competitive, and that's what pushes you to get the maximum out of your talent. And so we're learning a lot. We're competing a lot. I can't think of a better situation for us to be in.
Coach Dave Joerger is going to be out at Urban Roots tomorrow from 3 to 5 p.m., 1322 V Street, pouring drinks for tips to benefit the Dave Joerger Foundation. We invite all of you to get out there and support your coach and support a great cause. Coach, it's always great having you on, too, because we try every morning to play armchair analyst and try to analyze what you do, what the team does, and answer questions from a point of a lot of ignorance but educated guessing. One of the questions we get a lot is, why is De'Aaron sitting this time, and why is Buddy sitting here, and what is with the rotations? This is what we've been saying all year, and I just want you to tell us if we're being stupid. You guys play at such an amazingly fast pace. I feel like you have to rotate a little bit more, and I also feel like if things are going the way you want, you have kind of a set substitution pattern with a lot of your stars. Is that close to being on the mark?
Yeah, and it's changed. It's been in flux throughout the course of the year with injuries, and also as you look at how much Marvin Bagley has grown throughout the course of the season. And he was out for a stretch, but he continues to grow and leave his mark on each game that he plays. And so, how do you put him in a position to be the most successful for himself, but also, and more importantly, for our team? And so he's taken on a bigger role as the course of the season has gone on. I'm also very sensitive, Dave, to we do have younger bodies, and so I want us to be there at the end. I want us to be able to get through a full 82 season, still standing on our feet, each individual guy. And so I'm very sensitive to making sure De'Aaron is fresh the last 6-7 minutes of the game, because we've seen what he can do when he extends his defense, pressures the basketball, gets defensive rebounds or tip outs, and it's 3-second score at the other end, putting pressure on the defense, and those kinds of things. We play teams that are playing guys 38 and 40 minutes a night, and those guys are 28, 29, 30 years old, and they've been through multiple seasons and multiple playoff runs, and they're able to do that. We're growing into that, and I think you're going to see, starting to play him longer into the first quarter, because I feel like we're not finishing our first quarters very well. I know it gets him a little exhausted, but I'm cranking De'Aaron's minutes up a little bit as we head towards the finish line.
Coach Dave Joerger with us. In the last couple of weeks, you've played the 4 best teams arguably in the NBA. You beat Oklahoma City, and you lost to Denver and Golden State on the road, then obviously the Bucks the other night. You lost by a combined 5 points, and it's frustrating, I'm sure, for the fans. I don't think you or the players take moral victories into that locker room. But when you step back, do you kind of you look at that and you go, we just lost to the 3 best teams in the NBA by a combined 5 points. You're ahead of schedule. There's got to be something. You got to take positives out of that, I would imagine, in that locker room.
No question. We're playing really at a high level in all those games. And like I said, we had a little stinker there in Minnesota, but that's to be expected sometimes with a young team. They can't hold on mentally every single minute all the time. And you said as a pro, like, how does that happen if you're a fan? Well, it just does with younger teams. And you've seen other teams' players comment on it, great players around the league. Durant had some interesting comments about it after the game. And in the 4 times that we've played them, it's really come down to experience and a couple of plays throughout the course of the game. And, certainly they've got big-time go-to guys that just plop it in their hands and go make a play. And we're still growing. And Steph Curry said the same thing. So it's good experience to go through. It's not enjoyable. I do not like losing close games. I think that's where your team foundation of belief and confidence are built, and we've certainly won our share. And the last couple of games, there's not been a game that it's been tit for tat a lot at the end. It seems like we are playing from behind to close gaps at the end of games, but we've been right there. And when you're playing from behind, each play is amplified even more, and each mistake is amplified even more. And there's not a lot of margin for error.
Big sigh of relief. You don't want to see Marvin Bagley miss one game, but when he was being carried off the floor, I'm sure a lot of us thought the worst. And reports yesterday, sprained knee, he reevaluated in a week, possibly out 2 weeks. So it looks like if you follow that timeline, you've got 5, 6, 7 games that he might miss. I'm imagining that adjustment there, you're going to call on quite a few people to step up. Those are fairly big shoes to fill, especially even for a 19-year-old.
Yeah, I mean, what he's been able to do and score the basketball around the basket, get extra possessions with offensive rebounds. He's learning. He's getting more experience, and he's learning defensively how fast the game goes. And you're talking about a guy who is very talented, but they played 2-3 zone last year, and I don't know how much emphasis there is in high school on defending, and the league is getting smaller. So you're seeing him having to guard on the perimeter, not just the ball, but helping in different situations and then close back out to people, and he's gotten better at it, and he'll continue to grow. And it's going to be a next man up mindset, and some nights we're playing small, and some nights, we got to do whatever we got to do to find a way to win.
Wrapping up with Coach Dave Joerger, I want to remind you a couple more times here, 1322 V Street, Urban Roots, Sacramento, downtown tomorrow, 3 to 5. Please show up, help out, and support your coach, support your team, and support a great cause, the Dave Joerger Foundation. He will be pouring for tips to support that foundation. Coach, before I forget, the Milwaukee game, end of regulation, it looks like a call for De'Aaron Fox. I don't know if it was just that he lost the ball or not. Would you mind walking us through what that call was and what you saw that went wrong at the end of the regulation?
Yeah, well, we just tried to get it to him in a position where he could see everybody and had the floor in front of him. We wanted to get the last shot. They also had a foul to give, and sometimes that can confuse a player. We try to go a little bit early in case that they did take the foul and he got stuck with, 0.8 seconds left, and then what the heck. So he tried to make a play, and I think, he's a good guy to put the ball in his hands. And each night it can be that there's a last-second play. It can be, well, how come he didn't go to Bogey? He's one. How come he didn't hit Buddy? He's one. How come he didn't go to De'Aaron? He had, jeepers. You're trying to put the ball in the guy's hand and put it in a position to be successful in spots on the floor. And then certainly there's a time aspect. There's the aspect of who has it going a little bit, and what the matchups look like and different actions that you're trying to get to. I think it's been successful for us putting him there, and he's won games there, and I think it's a great experience for him as well.
I'm glad you said that because we've talked about that a lot when at the end of the game, and the Kings have had a lot of late game heroics or almost heroics. We've had De'Aaron in Miami and De'Aaron against Philadelphia. You had Bogey versus the Lakers at home. You had Buddy in Detroit and then Buddy the near miss in Denver. And I was going to ask you about that. It doesn't look like you're flipping a coin out there. You've got a couple of guys that you know are capable. So it's not, it's De'Aaron's turn, it's Bogey's turn, it's whoever's turn. It's matchups. It's all the other stuff you mentioned. You're not doing a rotation type thing.
Yeah, no.
Flip a coin.
Yeah, we just put our hand in the hat, throwing out. No, not trying to be a smart aleck, but like the Golden State game, we went for the home run, and Buddy had just made his last 2 shots, and they're really, really good as far as end of game switchable. So we ran a little play. We ran a 1-second play with 6.5 seconds left. And, we slipped Marvin when they were ready to switch. I think Marvin was probably open, but it's one of those, oh, snap, I missed you. But, Buddy had a great look up there, and it just is what it is. And it was just, maybe there's again, as we came out of the huddle, it's a 2-point game. And so we're saying, hey, if we don't get the 3, put it on the deck and get to the rack. And you can get confused as a young player sometimes if there's too much information, but it is our job to give them that information. And don't think there's not a Golden State effect either, okay? Like, holy cows, if I leave any time up here on the clock, those guys are so good. They have 1 second, they might get us. And so sometimes there's the thought of, man, I can't leave any time on the clock. And, this is a good experience for these guys to go through. And like Steph Curry said it, man, for them, I think it was the Lakers. He said, they had to get over the hump against, but when you play those teams, you're playing at such a high level, you're getting better, your time is coming.
I think that's fascinating, and I think you're playing possum a bit because I know how much you watch film. He said maybe Marvin Bagley was open. I remember that. That's Harrison Barnes inbound. Marvin broke left and looked like he was all alone in that key, and Harrison went for Buddy. You mentioned going for the win and all that. And that shot, forget all the hullabaloo that was surrounding that shot. That shot was about, halfway between midcourt and the three-point line. Is that a shot you're okay with Buddy taking in that situation, going for the win from that far out? Has he earned that, or would you rather get it a little bit closer like he tried to do?
Oh, yeah, no. He was so open he could have taken a dribble in and still shot a 3.
Right.
But once we split Marvin, he had come out too far. You know what I mean? And so the catch was a little further out than we wanted. And then at that point, it's like, the player thinks the same thing, too. Like, man, if I shoot it from 30, I look, So he got his wires crossed a little bit, and it had nothing to do with anything else whatsoever. And so, he's had a terrific season. I mean, how much has he jumped this year? And the way that we play, and what a credit it is to all of our guys to be in top shape, to get up and down the floor, to keep our spacing, and everybody reaps the rewards of that, and everybody reaps the rewards of Buddy making shots because there's more space on the floor.
Coach, I appreciate the time. My last question, I asked you this towards the beginning of the year, and we've been on this with you for about 3 years now. Is this the most fun you've had since you've been the Kings coach this year?
Yeah, I think we've had a group that's always been fun to go to the gym and coach, but to see them have some success, and certainly the energy in the building is just terrific. We love playing at home. We feed off the crowd. We love living in the community and being out and running around town, and I think our players appreciate that, and so, yeah, we're all having a good time.
That is Coach Dave Joerger. Pregame 6:30, tip-off at 7. Huge game tonight versus those Los Angeles Clippers. I want to remind you one more time, the Dave Joerger Foundation, Coach Joerger, after coaching this game tonight, is going to get up, be out there 3 to 5 tomorrow at Urban Roots, 1322 V Street, downtown Sacramento. He's pouring for tips, benefiting his foundation, which does a ton of phenomenal work around the community. Coach, I know it's a big day for you. I appreciate you spending a few minutes with us today.
I appreciate it. We're also going to serve that beer on Monday in the arena, one night only, and you got to buy the beer, but then you can make a donation to any charity, and we'll take care of that. So we're fired up for that.
I'll bring the cribbage board.
Do it. Thanks, man.
All right, so that'd be good. See you.
All right, bye.
It's Coach Joerger. It's fascinating. Found a lot of that really fascinating. We do our jobs, or we try to do our jobs, and everybody in media and all the fans try to do their jobs. Trying to analyze everything. And then when you bring the guy on, and you say, okay, why this, why that, and you hear him explain it, and you go, oh, okay.
What I thought was great about his explanation on the play at the end of that Warriors game was it was basically what everybody was saying. Like, yeah, Bagley slipped to the basket, but that wasn't where the play was.
Right.
So by the time it got recognized, it was like, you know what? Missed it. So they got it to Buddy, and Buddy was thinking about trying to win the game and getting the last shot.
Right.
It's like, oh, yeah, so sometimes just the situation just dictates decision-making a little bit.
Well, and I don't want to put...
There wasn't like a...
I don't want to put words in Coach's mouth either, but and you tell me if you got something else out of this. What I took out of what he said, too, is he said Buddy slipped out a little further than perhaps they had drawn up, but part of that is you also have that inbound clock going in your head, so Buddy slips out further. Harrison maybe either doesn't see Marvin or opts to not go for Marvin. Like Coach said, they talked in the huddle about going for the win, so when Buddy gets the ball, he had to slip out that far in his mind because that clock's ticking to get the ball, and he turns and finds himself way out. Still could have taken that shot, and there's been a lot of conversation about that. But what Coach said, too, that caught me was he said, don't fool yourself. There's a Warriors effect. And I think that's fascinating because it's so true. These are human beings. They're very young, and you're playing these guys that even at this point, guys like Bagley, even guys like Fox, Harry Giles, grew up watching get to and or win championships, and you're in Oakland in that environment. Yeah, that's a massively pressure-packed situation.
Yeah, what was De'Aaron Fox, 16 when the Warriors won their first title?
Yeah, I think you're right. Wow.
Like that's wild. He was like a junior in high school, sophomore in high school?
Yeah. And here he is playing against these guys.
No, he's playing against them. If I think about the athletes I really looked up to when I was a sophomore in high school, can you imagine playing against them?
No, I can't.
Like, just suddenly it's like, oh, yeah, hey. And I know he's played against, top-flight players in college and other NBA players, but, man, there's still, like you said, there's a human element there that you want to go, oh, we blocked that out. It doesn't matter. It's just every team's the same. It's not. And
with heightened pressure and stakes, there's going to come heightened emotions, too.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see a lot more of that. These guys on this team have not dealt with this before. Harrison Barnes has. And that's about it.
I expect that to change about them dramatically next year.
Oh, I agree.
I think next year those games that they're losing late, they close up.
I think those games. I don't want to just be a disagree person. What is it?
Devil's advocate.
I meant a contrarian, but
just
disagree
don't want
person
to be a
will
disagree
work.
person.
I don't want to be a. I would say if you took all the games that they gave up late this year, going back to Portland, LA, obviously Denver, Golden State, and all that, even if they just win half of those next year, imagine what their record would be. And where
they'd have an extra 3-4 wins this year.
Lance Woods is, I believe, going to be in studio in about 5 minutes. I usually hear from him by now. Our thanks to Coach Joerger. That'll be available at KHTK.com and on YouTube here very, very shortly. We'll come back and finish the last half hour of the program right here on Sports 1140 KHTK.
Now, your Sports 1140 KHTK update. Brought to you by J.R. Putman Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
This is Kyle Madsen with your top stories on Sports 1140. The Bryce Harper sweeps. That's easy for me to say. The Bryce Harper sweepstakes is finally over. The 26-year-old inked a 13-year, $330 million deal with the Phillies with no opt-outs and a no-trade clause. It looks like Harper plans on being in Philly for the rest of his career. And the Sacramento Kings tonight play one of the most important games they've played since the last time they were in the playoffs. They host the Los Angeles Clippers at 7 o'clock tonight at the Golden One Center. The Kings trail the Clippers by 2 games in the standings. They're a game back of the Spurs for the number 8 seed. Our coverage starts with game night at 5:30. Kings Live is at 6:30, and tip-off is set for 7 o'clock. It's 8:31. If you have been injured at work, call the law offices of Doug Moreno at 916-564-4000 for a free consultation. Those are your top stories. Now back to the drive on Sports 1140. KHTK. Is Lance in here?
Now you can watch the guys on your computer or mobile device. Just go to KHTK.com and check the archives on the KHTK YouTube channel. Now, back to the drive.
I know they're moving you around. Get you some. You probably want some headphones here. Keep these in case of Lance. Oh, Excuse me, I forgot. You have the special Lance Blue headphones. The Sacramento Kings baby blue headphones. Welcome into the drive. We'll get Lance's mic on, get him all hooked up. Lance Woods in studio. Thanks to Coach Dave Joerger for joining us. That will be available, as we said, at KHTK.com and or YouTube. If you watch the video cast. Hello, Lance.
Are we on?
I think so.
Yo.
There you go.
I'm hurt.
You hear okay?
I feel good.
You feel good? You look good.
I hear you. You look good, too.
No, I don't.
Okay.
You smell good?
Yeah, I took a shower, and it's been lasting.
What is that? Is that good? Showers? They're good.
Every now and again, you want to clean it up.
Somebody, we went over this yesterday. I read this article on Men's Health. Why was I reading Men's Health? Don't ask. And they said that you should put oranges in the fridge and then have a shower orange every morning, because the combination of the vitamin C and the mist and the steam, and then when you eat it, it's the best possible way to wake up. It wakes up all your olfactory senses and gives you a rush that's better than any coffee you could have.
Oh, wait. Time out. You're supposed to eat an orange in the shower?
You're supposed to peel and eat an orange in the shower, a cold orange. You keep it in the fridge about 40 degrees every single morning. There's a thing.
Yeah, that's why I don't read Men's Health.
Right?
Yeah, that sounds kind of kinky.
You're not into the shower orange?
Nah, man.
No?
Let me call you back, fam. I'm in the shower peeling this orange. We can't be friends no more. Why are you peeling an orange in the shower? It's too late. It's a lot. It's a lot, Dave.
That's a lot to deal with in the morning.
Peeling the orange in the shower sounds like a euphemism.
It does.
It does.
It's time to call your local Geico agent, Vince Harris, at 916-923-5050. That's 916-923-5050.
How you been, man?
I've been fantastic.
How was your show the other
David
night?
of Carmichael.
I saw you do your...
Hear ye. It is David of Carmichael coming in live. Sports 1140 on the drive. With me, Sir Lance Woods.
We need to record that.
That's isolated.
That's a Ray Joyner.
That
You did a great job on your video the other night after that big loss, and you were...
Oh, man. Check this out. I'm going to tell you how much I appreciate you, because nights like that, I don't get to see much of the game.
Right.
So I'm following your Twitter to see what's going on. And you never disappoint.
It's a bad follow, Lance. In fact, I pinned up a tweet.
I seen it, man.
There's no reason to follow me whatsoever. You've been warned.
Look,
move on.
This was the crazy part. I don't see nothing, and I'm kind of keeping the score.
Yeah.
But I got a show too, so I got to focus on that, and I'm on stage, and so I'm like, oh, we back in it, and then I'm like, oh, it's tied.
Right.
And then I keep looking at the score, and for some reason my app, because I can watch the game.
Yeah.
But my app wasn't working.
Oh, come on, NBC Sports app.
Man.
Get it together.
And then it said it's not a part of my cable package. So maybe it's my fault. But it's been a part. I didn't change nothing. I changed nothing. I didn't call to change the account. I didn't pay the bill. The point is, I did nothing different. So if I ain't never paid the bill, it ain't never been paid. So why stop now?
I think they're out to get you.
That's what I think. So anyway, I'm watching.
I'll get you my login. We're friends. I'll share my login with you.
And let's see if yours work, because my other friends log in.
Oh, it didn't work?
Because I don't have my own login for nothing.
Maybe they didn't pay the bill either.
No.
What about Netflix? You got your own login?
Of course not. I got my ex's Netflix login.
Right.
And that's how I keep tabs on it to see if she's with somebody new. Because you can see what they've been watching.
And their profile. Oh, that's right.
You can look at what, and he's like, oh, now you watching drug dealer documentaries. Somebody else over there. I was trying to get you to watch Cocaine Cowboys for 6 months.
And now she's watching.
And now you watching Cocaine Cowboys. Somebody over there. I know it. But anyway.
And if that new profile shows up and says Big John, you know that's probably not her either.
Yeah.
There's a problem.
Because I got one of my ex's Netflix. I got another ex's Hulu.
Okay.
And then I got a different ex's HBO. And then I got a current Showtime. I got a lot of different channels.
It sounds like you're basically dating to grab some logins. Like, do you need to find an HBO girl now?
No, I got an HBO girl.
You do?
I got an HBO girl.
You need to find a YouTube TV girl.
Oh, yeah.
You should put that on one of those dating apps.
Yeah.
Looking for YouTube TV. Somebody who shares my love for YouTube TV.
Swipe right. If you ain't about that YouTube TV life, don't even swipe.
Don't even swipe
in
at all.
my direction.
Get out of here.
That's good, Dave. You're a genius.
How you doing, man? With the this Kings team is up and down, up and down. Marvin Bagley's going to be out a week to 2 weeks now. It's a big game tonight versus those Clippers.
Yes. Are you going to be there?
I will not. No, but here's why. I know. Here's why Lance is laughing. Because Lance has asked me like 5 times this year, hey, man, what's up? You going to be on the game? And I was like, no, I have this thing I got to do. Lance, I will be with my daughter and sixth graders because they have a project that has been assigned to them since November that they're presenting tomorrow at Natomas High School. I probably shouldn't have said that, but Natomas High School, I did. They had to make a car that 2 of them can ride on 10 feet, but it has to fit in 2 suitcases. They have to assemble the car, go 10 feet, disassemble the car, put it in the suitcases, reassemble the car, go 10 more feet, and they have to do a skit, and they have to do it all in 8 minutes. My wife volunteered to head this thing up in November. Okay. My wife basically had it about a week ago. So somebody had to step in. Hi, how are you doing?
Okay.
So now I've been directing 6th graders at my house all week long for 4 hours a night, preparing for tomorrow. So tonight's our marathon run. So I'll be watching the game while dealing with 6th graders throwing goldfish at each other, the crackers, not the fish. And dealing with all this. So I would love to be there. That was way too much info for you.
No, that's actually not enough info. I want more.
That's where my world is right now, Lance.
That is the most interesting thing I've heard before.
I got bags under my eyes. I'm mainlining nicotine. I kicked my dog the other day out of frustration. It's been a rough week, Lance. And Marvin Bagley got hurt.
Just for the record, he was joking about kicking the dog.
I didn't kick. Well, but kick dog was a stuffed animal.
Yeah,
I don't know why you'd think that.
Yeah, they'll start blogging about you, Dave. You say that kind of stuff.
I assume you will be at the game.
Yeah.
That would have been you said no.
No, I'm not gonna be there, Dave. I don't have tickets yet. Call us if you're listening. I need some tickets to the game. So let's make that happen, people.
If I roll up to Golden One Center tonight and Lance is standing outside trying to scalp some tickets, I will lose it. That would be so funny.
Yo, have y'all seen the guy who's scalping every game?
I know one. I know there's one. We might not be talking about the same guy, but there's a guy out front every game scalping tickets. Same guy.
Older.
Yes. Yes. I know exactly who you're talking about. Older. Yes.
My favorite thing is when 2 scalpers are standing next to each other and one of them's like, I've got tickets, and the other guy's like, I need tickets. Why don't those guys just link up?
Why don't y'all exchange info?
Yeah. Swipe left.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be swipe right.
Sorry, I'm not into. I don't.
Come on, Dave. Get on Tinder, dude.
And Tinders and all the things that the kids do these days.
Really? Craigslist?
Craigslist. Back in my day, it was Craigslist. All right, it was singles.
Man, that explains so much.
Right?
MySpace back in my day. Oh, so I'm not in your top 8? Then why you ask me to borrow $40?
Thank you. Then I'm out. It was me, Tom Anderson, and everybody had Tom as a friend.
And you couldn't get rid of him.
You could not get rid of him. You know, he sold MySpace for what? It was like $55 million.
I thought it was more.
It might have been more. It might have been 150. It was something crazy. You're probably right. It was like hundreds of millions of dollars. And I saw this the other day. Somebody cracked him online, brought him into their joke about failing and all that. I was like, well, at least you're not Tom, the failure with MySpace. And he replied. He never gets on Twitter. And he replied. He goes, yeah, I'm 35 years old. I sold my company for $150 million. I don't work. How you doing?
I seen that.
It was the best crack I've ever seen in my life.
He channeled his inner Carmichael Day.
How?
You've seen a lot of crack.
I've seen a lot of crack in my life. Mostly plumbing. We'll take a break. Lance, it always flies by when I'm here with you.
Man, it's like a good time.
It really is a good time.
The people should know we never talk about what we're going to talk about. There is never this is what we're going to say.
Nope.
We just say go and we just start talking.
I don't think we would have even guessed any of this subject. I did not plan on talking to you about kicking animals
or crack
and crack and 6th graders. And I don't think you planned on talking about how you're a serial dater for logins.
What?
We're learning a lot about you today.
Ladies, if you're listening,
YouTube ladies.
And you got a YouTube and you got a YouTube TV login. You know,
1-800-920-1140. We'll do a dating game right now. YouTube login.
There we go.
ESPN Plus, where's the sporty ladies at?
Oh, my goodness. If you got an ESPN Plus, I am your man. Do you like long walks out of my life? Just give me that login, and you are free to go, ladies.
We're back in 3 minutes, wrapping up with What's on Tap. Sports 1140 KHTK.
It's the end of the show, but it's the start of your workday. For a cold one, it's What's on Tap. Here's What's on Tap.
Hear ye, hear ye. It is David of Carmichael coming in live. Sports 1140 on the drive. With me, Sir Lance Woods.
That's fantastic.
I like it.
That's a great turnaround by Kyle.
I mean, I think Kyle's a very underrated superstar.
Well, thank you. I, too, think I'm underrated.
Well, that makes two of you. Let's take a phone call. Phil, you're on the drive with Sir Lance Woods. Good morning. Phil. Hi, Phil.
How you doing, bud?
Good.
Philip.
So I got something I want to ask you, Dave, and I'm dead serious.
Hey, Lance said hello too. I don't know if you heard
that. Oh, sorry, I'm driving truck downtown right now. I got you guys. How you doing, guys?
Philip.
Quick question. Hi, Lance. I've seen you before, brother. You're hilarious. Keep it up. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Phil. And I seen you driving them trucks, and let me tell you, no one makes a left turn quite as sharp as you.
If you see my driving record, you'd be saying different, but we'll get to that another day. Hey, Dave, I'm dead serious about something. I want to talk to you about Sean Salisbury. What do we got to do to get that guy back on television? I'm serious. I'm dead serious.
Well, if you're being serious, and I know you are, and I know you're coming from a good spot, I'll be serious right back at you. And I would say this with Sean right in front of me. I think he would be perfect in the Monday Night Football booth. I think he and John Clayton really started the whole back and forth sports argument show, and nobody's done it better than them. Not Stephen A., not Shannon, not Max Kellerman,
Absolutely.
Not Skip. The problem is that he didn't leave ESPN on the greatest of terms, and ESPN is a Disney-owned company, and for him to come back,
I know
there's going to have to be enough time passed, which I believe there has been. I believe he has, apologized and owned it 500 billion times. I don't want to downplay what he did, but he also it didn't stab anybody. So I do think there are lines there that you can and can't cross. I personally think it'd be fine, but they would have to weigh the talent and the ratings and the fun versus what would, I think, be an initial controversy, but I think it would be incredibly worth it. I think ESPN's had far I don't want to make it sound like Sean's a bad guy. He's the greatest guy, one of the greatest guys I know, but they've had plenty of people in their employ that wouldn't pass the morality test that Sean would. So I think they should absolutely bring him back.
You're absolutely right. And the world that we're living in now, people are getting breaks for much worse things done in that atmosphere. The thing is with the talent and the ratings, I think would be off the charts. And I mean, there's no one more qualified to do it. And I'd paid money to see him sit on the last take in between those two clowns and just watch a professional go to work.
He'd destroy them all. Thank you, buddy. What is this? Oh, it's you. That was you.
Oh, that was me?
He's just recording and playing you back.
Oh, I had no idea.
Like your own person. What?
That was Beverly Hills Cop.
Oh, I thought that was him saying Phil that you put over that bed.
No.
Oh, because you were like, Phil.
That's what, man. That's okay. I was hoping I wasn't becoming that arrogant.
No, why not?
Because I heard I was like, oh, he sound good. He's like, that's you? And I was like, you damn right, that's me.
How nervous are you as a Kings fan about tonight?
I'm not nervous at all, man.
Do you get nervous about games?
No.
Okay.
I just don't. I'm not a nervous type person. I think with the Clippers in particular, it is important how they start these games. They fell behind to the Clippers every game.
Yep.
Early. And then, like the last game, they fought back and almost pulled off a miracle comeback. But it's like, and this is the first time they playing without Tobias Harris.
Right.
Who, for some reason, when he played the Kings, turned into Michael Jordan.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
With hairline and a real thick headband. But so I think that's important. And we got to figure out how to stop Shaquille O'Neal disguised as Montrezl Harrell. If we figure that out, when does Shaq get dreads? When did Shaquille O'Neal become Booker T? When did this happen?
Hey, real quick, it's time to call your local Geico agent. Don't forget that. Vince Harris, it's our guy at 916-923-5050. That's 916-923-5050.
I think it would be funny.
Vince Harris had dreads.
What if you, this is a great concept. Maybe it's not. But what
We're about
if
to find out.
No, that's really arrogant of me to say before I say it. What if your like stand-ups were kind of like radio shows? Like, could you do a stand-up and then have to do like live reads from sponsors during your stand-up? Like, you tell a joke.
I'm going to tell you something funny.
And then you shout out Vince from Geico, and then you move on.
I've been seeing that happen.
Really?
Look, if you watch a lot of these Netflix not documentaries, the Netflix comedy specials, notice how they say Netflix in the special at some point.
You think that's part of the contract?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. At some point, you will hear them say They might not tell a Netflix joke, but did you guys see that it was real funny? Was it Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon when they had Steph Curry at All-Star Weekend?
Yes.
And they had him. He had like a list of words he had to say.
I didn't see
for their show.
Okay.
And it was like, but the people who he was talking to had no idea.
He just threw him in his press conferences.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a great concept.
Really
and
good.
he pulled it off?
Yeah.
I got to watch this clip.
He said, wham, bam, can of ham.
Yeah.
In his presser?
Yes.
Yeah. Or he said something about pancakes.
Yeah, just pancakes.
Yeah, it was like it was like 3 or 4 different words. But I'm watching these Netflix specials, and they all say Netflix in them. Like the comic says Netflix at some point on stage.
But could there be a day where you're up on stage and you're like, wrecked him, damn near killed him. By the way, before we move on, I want to let you know, Miller Lite.
Yes.
I mean,
yes,
that can happen.
Everything is for sale.
Wow.
Yeah, the NBA jerseys is gonna look like remember when everybody's wearing the NBA shirts with all the teams on them and the jeans?
Yeah.
That's how the jersey's gonna look. They're gonna keep putting more sponsors and more sponsors.
Be like a NASCAR driver with all the.
What?
Wow. Okay.
It's gonna be like it's gonna be like YouTube ads on the jerseys,
right?
And say, you can get the jersey without this if you just subscribe to an NBA jersey monthly plan, and you can get the jersey without the ads. Or you know what I mean? Just watch the ads.
Is YouTube good for comedy? Stand-up comedy?
Yes. It's just different. It's just a different thing. It's all about how you use it.
Okay.
Like if you understand how to use the internet, then yeah. It's just like I'm very in tune with the internet, but I'm very much an old soul. I'm very much like fell in love with the art of stand-up, how I fell in love with it. So I got a bunch of friends on this side who are from the old school who's like, man, they ruining comedy and all you got to do is have a bunch of followers. And I got another side of people saying, man, get them old people out of here, man. This is how we're doing it now. The attention span is this. People only want to see a quick minute or a quick da. But in my opinion, the art of live performance will always be here.
How much time do we have?
4 minutes.
Okay. I want to make sure we had at least a few. We probably need more like 40 minutes.
Yeah, I was going to say, this sounds like a good conversation.
So, Brody Stevens took his life last week.
Yes.
Comedian. Very, very talented.
Yes.
And my brother-in-law dabbles in stand-up, not like you, but he was in that there was a group of them, and he knew Brody. And I've heard a lot of anecdotes about his struggles. And this is not the first time this has happened. This is far from the first time this happened in the comedic world. I often hear from comedians I know who say something that always sticks with me, that being a stand-up comedian is an extremely lonely world to live in. Is that true about the entire job, or is that highly based on the individual and how they approach it?
No, I do think stand-up is a lonely thing. I think the entertainment world is lonely. But like the art of, you remember the movie Ray?
Yeah.
When he was talking about his drug use and he told either his wife or one of his friends, like, I go out there alone in the dark every night.
Yep.
You're not in the dark, but you go on stage alone every night, and this stuff has to work for you. If it doesn't work, it's no one else but you standing up there by yourself.
And you're getting instant grades.
It's instant.
Instant.
Off of everything you say. It's like, okay, it's like stand-up comedy is like Twitter Live.
Yeah.
And when you tweet, and people don't really care that you're tweeting, and you just be over here like, hey, everybody, I'm over here talking, and you see that there's 50 billion people on Twitter, and none of them care what you are saying.
But that's right in front of your face.
And it's right in front of your face.
I get ratings once a month, and it drives me crazy. Everybody in radio is manic in some aspect or the other, but that's a month delay. So you get them instantly.
So now if you talk about a more successful comedian who is now away from home every weekend, you're on the road in a new city around new people, you get lonely.
Do you guys root for each other?
I do.
I mean, do comedians in general?
Yeah, I think so.
You think so?
Yeah. I feel like that, yeah. I feel like it's like everything else. There's an underworld of comedy, and there's like a respect thing, and you know when you broke into it by the people you interact with. So it's like once these people talk about you in that level, then you know that they look at you as one of them.
And comedians have favorite comedians, correct?
Yes.
I mean, there are those quote unquote comedians.
Yes.
I feel like Brody was one of those for a lot of people.
Yes, he was.
Just doing things that a lot of other comedians either were too afraid to do, hadn't thought of, or just didn't do in general.
And his personality was just very, like, always a nice, positive guy.
Yes.
And that's like I was around Robin Williams before he passed.
I was literally just gonna bring that name up. Nobody would ever guess it.
Yeah.
Nobody would. Not that you were around Robin Williams. Nobody would ever guess that he would be somebody to take his own life, is what I meant.
And Robin, I'm talking about the nicest man.
Absolutely.
Like I'm around him. I'm like, yo, he's the nicest guy in the world. And this was when I met Robin. I was a year and a half into comedy, so I'm like, this is like I got the big eyes. Like this is Robin Williams. Like
right,
talking just like me and you were talking just like this. We were in a room, and it was me, Robin, a guy named Kevin Meaney, another comic who's passed away. A guy named Mark Pitta, a guy named Jason Wrestler, and we're all sitting in the green room talking, and they're all jokes, and Robin's quick with jokes, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there. I had plenty of jokes, but I wasn't about to say them and ruin the moment.
No, that would be like watching Bruce Lee and 3 equivalents of Bruce Lee sparring, and how do you jump in and out of that?
And I just go in and try to do a karate chop.
Right.
Like, nah, y'all fight. I'm just gonna watch in awe.
Kyle Lance and I, one of these days, are going to sit down and do an extended off-air podcast for all you guys.
Very down for this.
Way too much stuff. Give me we're out of time. Give me a prediction for tonight.
Kings by 11 tonight. Big win tonight.
Okay, Kings by 11 tonight.
Kings by 11 tonight. Let's go, Sac. Stand up. Tonight is the night. If we win and the Spurs lose, we in the 8th Street, right? Is that how tonight works?
I think we're a game back of the Spurs if we win and they lose, but I think we're tied in the loss column. It might be it. Speaking of 11, minus 1 is 10. March 10th, Punchline. That's where Lance Woods will be.
Look at that. What?
Right, yeah, Punchline Sack for your tickets.
PunchlineSack.com. Sir Lance Woods on Twitter. Lance Woods on Instagram.
Okay, buddy. You brought in donuts, too. Hey,
I did bring donuts.
I'm going to eat a donut right now.
You should eat a donut. And rub it on your body. Don't just eat it. Like, really.
It's a shower donut.
It's a shower donut.
Yeah, really become one with the donut.
Really let the sugar get in that mist.
We're going to hit the KHTK showers. We'll be rubbing donuts and oranges on us, and we'll be getting ready for tonight's game. 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock
Keep
tip
your
right
donut
here
away from me.
on Sporty 1140. Our thanks to Lance Wood, Sean Salisbury, Dave Joerger, and, Kyle, Jay, everybody. We'll see you Monday. Go Kings. Go Kings.
Go Kings. Sacktown, stand up.